The Relic of Remorse. Victor gazed at the ancient relic on his desk, its intricate carvings hinting at a history he couldn't wait to unravel. The strange object, a stone amulet, gleamed under the light, its surface seeming to pulse with an eerie energy that Victor could not explain. The auctioneer had been eager to see it gone, hinting that previous owners were plagued by unusual misfortunes soon after acquiring it. Intrigued by the artifact's dark past, Victor had bid generously, fascinated by the stories of wealth and power it promised. That night, Victor experienced his first unsettling dream, vivid images of ancient temples and shadowed figures beckoning him forward. He awoke with an inexplicable urge, his hands twitching as if they'd touched something beyond this world in his sleep. The next morning, he met with Lila, a historian known for her expertise in cursed objects, hoping she could reveal more about the relic. Lila studied the amulet with reverence, her fingers tracing its lines as she warned Victor of its reputation for stirring violence. Victor shrugged off her concerns, dismissing the idea of an object holding power over human minds as mere superstition. He felt invincible, as though the relic granted him a unique power, one that was simply too enticing to resist. As days passed, Victor noticed a change in his demeanor, an irritability he couldn't shake, especially around his rival, Tom. Tom, another collector with a keen eye for rare items, had long coveted Victor's new acquisition, increasing Victor's animosity. One evening, Victor found himself pacing his dimly lit study, thoughts consumed by Tom and a growing resentment. A week later, he encountered Tom at a grand estate auction, the relic heavy in his pocket, its weight oddly reassuring. Tom approached, complimenting Victor on his find, but Victor felt a sudden surge of rage, his mind clouded by dark thoughts. Without a word, he turned and walked away, disturbed by the violent impulse that had suddenly taken hold of him. That night, the dreams returned, clearer and more sinister, showing him visions of blood and sacrifice tied to the relic. He awoke drenched in sweat, the relic clasped tightly in his hand as if it had moved there on its own. Desperation set in as Victor sought Lila again, confessing the visions and uncontrollable urges growing within him. Lila was alarmed, warning him that the relic demanded payment in the form of violence, a toll its owners always paid. Ignoring her warning, Victor became increasingly withdrawn, consumed by his fixation on the power the relic promised. One evening, a dark thought crept into his mind, whispering that Tom's removal would only strengthen his standing. Overwhelmed by the suggestion, he paced his home, struggling against the urge, his mind a storm of conflicted desires. By morning, he convinced himself it was merely stress, dismissing the horrific thought as an overreaction to rivalry. But the urge returned, stronger and insistent, clouding his vision until he could think of nothing else but Tom's demise. That night, Victor found himself outside Tom's home, the relic burning in his pocket, guiding him with a terrifying certainty. In a trance-like state, he entered, his steps silent as he moved with purpose, his eyes fixed on his sleeping rival. Hours later, he fled into the night, his hands stained, the weight of the relic now heavier, almost suffocating. He felt a hollow satisfaction, yet shame gnawed at him, his mind barely able to comprehend the magnitude of his actions. Lila sensed something was wrong when he returned, hollow-eyed, the relic clutched possessively in his hand. She insisted on examining it further, realizing its carvings depicted rituals, symbols of offerings, and blood. Victor became defensive, unwilling to part with it, though Lila begged him to release its grip on his life. Desperation clawed at him, but the relic's allure grew, filling him with a twisted sense of empowerment. Soon, strange coincidences began to unfold, small fortunes finding their way to him, as if rewarding his actions. But the wealth brought no relief, guilt haunted him, his dreams now vivid reenactments of that fateful night. Lila, sensing his guilt, suggested destroying the relic, but Victor resisted, fearing the power it held over him. Consumed by paranoia, Victor locked himself in his mansion, avoiding anyone who dared approach him. The relic's whispers grew louder, demanding further sacrifices, its energy feeding on his moral collapse. In a moment of clarity, Victor realized the only way to end this was to destroy the relic, no matter the cost. With trembling hands, he sought a hammer, intent on breaking the object that had cursed his life. But as he raised the hammer, an intense wave of dread washed over him, paralyzing his resolve. The relic's whispers grew frenzied, its pulse seemingly racing, as if it knew its end was near. Gritting his teeth, Victor swung down, shattering the relic, a burst of energy dissipating like a final, angry sigh. The silence that followed was deafening, his mind suddenly clear, yet the weight of his actions remained. Without the relic's hold, memories of what he'd done crashed over him, each one a fresh wound on his conscience. His newfound wealth now felt like a curse, each coin a reminder of the price he'd paid for it. He returned to Lila, confessing everything, her horror evident as she realized the relic's power had fully consumed him. Lila, heartbroken, warned him that such sins left scars, no matter how deeply he sought forgiveness. News of Tom's death spread, and rumors of Victor's involvement darkened his once esteemed reputation. The authorities grew suspicious, piecing together evidence that pointed uncomfortably close to Victor's doorstep. His reputation, once a source of pride, began to crumble, each glance in his direction one of disdain. He could not escape the whispers, the accusing eyes that haunted him even in public gatherings. As he wandered the auction houses, his presence became a dark spectacle, his past deeds whispered in every corner. The wealth he had amassed felt meaningless, tainted by the darkness that had seeped into his life. Alone in his mansion, Victor found himself haunted by ghosts of his actions, every room echoing with regret. The memories of his crime became his true prison, a relentless reminder of the relic's horrific influence. No amount of wealth or status could erase the stain left by the relic or the blood that now marked his hands. In the end, he was left with only his remorse, the relic's curse broken, but his soul forever scarred. Victor's story faded into a cautionary tale, a warning of the perils of unchecked ambition and the cost of yielding to darkness.